Welcome to Sharika Talks, Unraveling the Truth, a journalist's quest. Subscribe for the truth.
Chapter 21. The Flames of Manikarnika and the Ashes of Ganga. Sharika had checked all the CCTV data from Tirunelveli when she was on the train to Varanasi. She was certain she could find something and had decided to report it to the police once she had evidence. She did find Sachin in the visuals on December 22nd, 23rd, and 24, 2025. He entered multiple times, and in the visuals, she saw people who were taking detailed photographs and scanning the entire temple complex with equipment she didn't recognize. The same woman with curly hair who was carrying Sachin's bag in Kashi was there with him, and another tall white girl with red hair and a slender body was also talking to Sachin more often. They seemed like they were in charge of the scanning of the temple. She saw them giving instructions to the workers, but she didn't see Sachin chatting with the workers. He stood as if he wasn't related to any of the work. He behaved like a devotee but was closely watching all this. And then on the next month, January 27 to 31, 2026, when she suspected he did the theft, she couldn't spot him in any of the CCTV visuals. Not even a shadow. As if he wasn't there at all. But her location data said he was there at those exact timings. He was clearly using calculated blind spots to avoid detection or something to jam the CCTV. Is that even possible? She called Nandu to ask if blocking a CCTV feed was possible. Wired ones like we saw in Tirunelveli and Madurai? Not easily. Only way would be either replace the hard disk or cut the wires, Nandu had explained. But those wireless ones from Tanjavur can be easily jammed. Another dead end. She still had no concrete evidence to prove it was Sachin. She took her iPhone and scrolled the newsfeed. Open quote, RPF basketball team thwarts temple robbery. Varanasi, returning from a match, 6 RPF officers from the RPF basketball team subdued a masked armed man attempting to steal an idol from the ancient Lakshmi Narasimha temple. 3 officers were injured in the altercation, including Arjun Nair, who ranked 6th in the last civil service exam and is scheduled to leave this coming September for IPS training. All 3 are being treated at Varanasi General Hospital. No serious injuries were reported. Close quote, the thief used explosives to break into the temple. Forensic experts confirmed the explosive was nitroglycerin-based, the dangerous chemical used in dynamite. The police and RPF are still working to locate the suspect and believe more than one culprit may be involved. The blast killed 3 cows that were eating leftovers from the morning's puja. A mild riot erupted across Varanasi later that day. Videos of the culprit have gone viral across social media platforms. Sharika stood beside the police barricade at the site of the explosion. Even though the incident had occurred 3 days ago, it was still in the news. She walked along the same paved banks of the Ganga that he had run along, her location data confirming her theory. The woman who held his bag had stayed in Kashi until nightfall, then traveled to the Thar desert city of Deep Enterprises, and was still there. Sharika was sure Sachin had exchanged his bag with that woman. But what could have been in it? There were videos of him running along the banks, shot by tourists and locals, right up until he climbed the wall near the banyan tree. But the tree and the wall blocked the view. The next available footage was the leaked CCTV video from the platform, which showed him running along the track and jumping onto the platform, narrowly escaping a honking goods train. There was a blind spot. While standing near the banyan tree, another thought struck her. If he used that blind spot to exchange the bags, why didn't he give up the Narasimha idol then? Why did he take it with him? Why all the drama? She knew he was so efficient that he could evade temples guarded by elite NSG commandos 24/7 without a single one noticing. The Lakshmi Narasimha temple, though near the larger Hanuman temple complex, wasn't guarded at all. The only guarded temple in Varanasi was the Kashi Vishwanath temple. An interesting fact she uncovered was that all of these temples had been destroyed and rebuilt several times. The Narasimha idol he tried to steal didn't have much antique value. The one installed in the 18th century was washed away in the 2012 flood. The idol Sachin tried to steal was a new one, installed that same year. Moreover, almost all idols in Varanasi are built with stone, not some exotic material like Navapashanam or a special metal alloy like Panchaloha. These idols lacked both antique and material value. Then she found two news clippings, one from 2016 and another from 2021. In 2016, archaeologists had found several underground temples and shrines estimated to be 5,000 years old. The other news from 2021 reported that during the renovation of the Kashi Vishwanath temple, workers discovered a private, underground shopping complex where it shouldn't have been, almost under a side gate of the temple. The owners told the authorities they had built it in 1 year during the COVID lockdown, but the authorities suspected they used an ancient tunnel system or building which went underground after years, which they may have found while doing illegal excavation. Creating such a huge complex underground within a year was impossible. It didn't take much time for Sharika to connect the dots. There had to be ancient vaults and tunnels, some still hiding treasures under these temple complexes, just like the one found in Tirunelveli. But then, why the explosion and stunts? That question was another dead end, and without filling that gap, she knew all her assumptions were worthless. She couldn't go to the police with so many dead ends and black zones in her theories, and she couldn't be sure whether he had bribed the police too. All she knew was that he may have access to those trafficking nexuses too, ones who literally buy government officials for their use. From a news item she read that morning, protests had already started against police because they hadn't made any progress in the investigation. Forensic experts who said they couldn't find any fingerprints or DNA evidence proved the claims of the protesters. She spent 2 days in Varanasi, not doing her academic work or shooting, but just wandering through the ancient city. Kashi, the city known as Kasi in the epics, historically known as Banaras and now officially Varanasi, stretched for almost 7 kilometers along the western banks of the Ganga. She had attended the Ganga Aarti ceremony in the evening. It was a spectacular moment, the ritual of praying to and honoring the divine river Ganga. Fire dancing in brass lamps, music rising like smoke, the river glowing like molten gold beneath the chants. She had stood among thousands. Even though she wasn't a believer, she found herself dissolving into the culture and the elegant music. The banks of the river Ganga in Varanasi consisted of 84 ghats, granite steps leading down to the water, and it is believed that bathing in all 84 grants moksha, or ascension to heaven. She walked all 7 kilometers the next morning, then returned to her starting point in a boat, one of the hundreds of different dimensions that plied the Ganges. It was during her walk that she saw the Manikarnika Ghat, the most famous ghat of Varanasi, where the flame never goes out. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, dead bodies are burned here. Until the rule of the current Prime Minister, Narayana Modi, bodies were cremated at almost all the ghats, and half-burned corpses were put into the sacred river itself, polluting it with waste and decay. But he had changed everything, starting a program to clean the Ganges and Varanasi and ensuring it was completed on time. Within 5 years, the Ganga began to flow with its divine purity again, its waters crystal clear. Now, only Manikarnika cremated 24/7. A small canal had been dug into the ghat, and only the fully burned ash was disposed of there, which was itself immediately cleaned before dissolving into the river. An elegant solution, preserving the spiritual aspect while cleansing the environment. She spent almost an hour watching a body burn. It was a woman's body. young, perhaps in her 30s. Her parents were cremated in an electric crematorium, so she had never seen them burning. It was here she saw it for the first time. Her thoughts about Sachin were temporarily erased, and her mind turned philosophical. It was a woman's body. Sharika was standing so close that when a young man lit the pyre after some rituals, she could feel the heat. She thought about how fragile and transient a human body is. She saw the body burning, skin peeling, eyes popping, breast bursting, and fat from it sizzling, blood melting and boiling along with fat. The smell of burning meat spread all over the gat, which hovers there always. She imagined how beautiful the woman might have been in her life, and what remained of her now, what position in life she held, what she achieved, whoever she loved, and now what is left. It reminded her of another beautiful woman's face, one that had burned away exactly like this almost 18 years ago, her mother's. A warm drop fell on her right arm. Only then did she realize she was crying. Long after she left the burning Manikarnika gat, she was still crying. She needed a distraction. She took out her Samsung phone and checked the tracker's location, Deep Enterprises in the Thar Desert. The satellite map showed a perfect square structure spanning hundreds of meters, shimmering under the Thar's harsh sun. What are they building there? What treasures will be hiding under those structures? She shook off her thoughts, wondering what Sachin would be doing there, and whether it was even Sachin himself who was there. She reached her hostel in Delhi on April 17th, 2027. The deadline for her capstone project was May 15th, more than enough time for her to edit and complete the full documentary. But she didn't want to wait until the last moment. She worked day and night, and by May 1st, her documentary was complete. She had fashioned it with a clear, flowing voice narration, a pitch-adjusted voiceover she had recorded herself, allowing a viewer to see the journey in a first-person perspective with the voice of Rishika Vani narrating it. Even the interviews she edited into a monologue, making it such that they told the story seamlessly. She had already taken approval to use her alias in the title card, since such capstone projects will be publicly available, and the good ones are even sent to student film festivals and mainstream media channels. By using her alias, the examination board only knew it was hers. She submitted the documentary on May 2nd. Her final semester exams, only 2 papers, were finished by May 28th. She had to vacate her beloved hostel room, where she spent most of her time in Delhi. She hadn't decided what to do after vacating her hostel, which she could stay in until the end of June if she wished. Her grandfather's mild anger over her not visiting him when she was in Kerala lingered in her mind. She decided to spend a few weeks with him. Thinking this, she opened her phone to check whether Sachin had moved. She knew her tracker's battery would die any day now. It had already served for more than 630 days, while the company only claimed a battery life of 600. It had likely lasted so long because its sounding feature was never used. What she saw made her heart stop. He was moving to Audar, a small town not so far from Amritsar in Punjab, near the India-Pakistan border. She hadn't slept that night out of curiosity. Exactly at 2:57 a.m., just after crossing the border through rough terrain, the signal was lost. She remained shocked to the core with 1,000 questions. She stayed awake trying to gather any small bit of information she could find. Then at 8 a.m., a news headline flashed on her iPhone. Open quote, breaking news. 7 civilians, 2 commandos dead in terrorist attack at Amritsar's Golden Temple. Militants are still inside the temple and keeping a number of people inside as hostages. Exact number of hostages in the temple is unknown. Close quote. What? The word exploded in her mind, followed by 1,000 questions and an image that may be linked to all of this. At the same time, her iPhone rang. Just after she finished that call, another one followed. Both those calls changed her decision to spend a few weeks with her grandpa. End of chapter 21.
Thank you for watching Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest. Subscribe to stay updated on Sharika's journey. Stay tuned for the next part.
Disclaimer. Unraveling the Truth, A Journalist's Quest is a work of fiction. The experiences, ideas, and theories presented by the characters, including the books they write, are purely fictional and do not reflect real-world events, beliefs, or ideologies. While some incidents and characters may be inspired by real-world scenarios, they are entirely fictionalized for storytelling purposes. The author does not endorse or share the viewpoints expressed by any character in this novel. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real events is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised.